For the first step of this project, you are going to draw diagonal lines across your paper. You can start right away with a Sharpie marker, but if you feel like you would rather do it in pencil first and then Sharpie marker, that's fine, but you still have to use your ruler when you go over it with a Sharpie marker because it's really important that these lines are nice and straight. So you're just gonna hold your paper or place it in front of you, vertical, which is the portrait direction, and you're gonna start in the corner and work your way across. So just from one side, when you hold your ruler, make sure the hand that you're not writing with, you're gonna hold it open, so your four fingers are on this side, your thumb is on this side, and that's going to hold it in place so it doesn't slide on you. So make sure you're holding it steady, and then you're just gonna draw one line, move your ruler. It's really important that these lines are also parallel. Parallel lines mean they're never going to touch. So if I started to draw a line like this for my next line, you can tell that this part, you can see it right there, it's in the shadow a little bit, let me move it. You can see that this part up here is skinnier than down here, so that it's not a parallel line. So you need to make sure you're gonna eyeball it. That means you're just going to look at it and make your best judgment that it is parallel, this next line that you're gonna draw. So my ruler looks pretty parallel to that line. So draw another line. Slide your ruler again. Make sure it doesn't go in a direction where it's not gonna be parallel. And you want to make different thicknesses. It's gonna be more interesting if you have some skinny lines and some thicker lines. So I'm gonna make this one a little bit more thick. Draw your line. When you're drawing with your Sharpie, don't go too fast. It will look dried out and you might miss some of your paper. So just nice and slow. You can see there's different thicknesses already. Line it up, make sure it's parallel. Okay, you're gonna do these lines over your whole paper. That's why I think if you did it in pencil first, it's just gonna take a little bit longer. And as long as you take your time and you're careful, you shouldn't have, and hold on to your ruler pretty tight, you shouldn't have any problems with it sliding around. You can try it in pencil first if you want for a couple lines, and then you should probably go right to the Sharpie. All right, now that your lines are all drawn, it's time to color them with marker. And that part, drawing the lines for this part of the project, it's gonna take a bit of time and you don't wanna rush that part. As you get older, you really need to try harder to do your best for the craftsmanship part of your projects. You really need to do a neat job, like when you're drawing straight lines with a ruler. You can't have them sliding all over the place. You take your time, hold on to the ruler, draw your lines slowly. But it's, you're just trying your best, and it's okay if you can see some lines are not totally parallel, where they might get some skinnier in some points, but as long as they're mostly parallel, you'll be fine. All right, so for markers, you're just going to start coloring them in the most comfortable position, and I'm right-handed, and for me, it's gonna be easier if I start coloring like that, like this direction. So like we've talked about before, when you're using the Crayola markers that are thick, you just wanna, when you're coloring something, you want to use kind of the thick part of the marker and draw lines. So this is the same type of thing. You are tilting that marker to the side and drawing lines with the thicker part. And the Sharpie marker makes a nice separation. So you should not be coloring into the other colors, just color right up to the Sharpie marker line. If you get into another space with a different color, it's going to smear. But since the Sharpie marker is permanent, it's not gonna matter. You might wanna leave some spaces white, just for more contrast. Those white spaces are going to stand out against the colored spaces. So just lines. You don't have to draw a line all the way across before you start another one. They can be a little bit shorter, like I'm doing right here. You can make it all the way for the shorter spaces, if you want. But it's still gonna be much neater if you can draw or fill in the spaces with a line. You can make a pattern. Maybe you just want to use a group of 5 colors. Maybe there's a certain order that you want to use them in, like I said, a pattern, or maybe you just want to make them random. It's up to you, but do a nice, neat job. Craftsmanship does matter a lot for this project.